Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope everyone had a great weekend. It's Sunday now, so we're going to take a look at a couple of things. Obviously, see where Bitcoin's at right now, along with Ethereum. We're also going to take a look at the miners, see how they did compared to Bitcoin for the last week. But that's going to be towards the end of the video, and we'll also take a look at DMG versus SOLUNA versus DigiHost, which is possibly a better buy right now. It's kind of hard to tell with those guys; they're so small. But we'll take a look at that, and then we'll also take a look at the current cost to mine BTC at the current price for BTC, the current network difficulty or network hash rate. There's been obviously a lot of stories regarding Bitcoin miners being in trouble. So we'll just take a look at some numbers here. And there is obviously some concern there, but we'll take a look at it. So that's all to come. As always, non financial advice. You guys know the drill here. I'm invested in following coins and companies for full disclosure. Also, if you enjoy this type of content, please hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin right now is not looking too good either for me, at least on the 4-hour chart, the 1-hour chart, and the daily chart right now. It's still looking pretty bearish to me. And here's the reason why. Bitcoin's at 19,560. We've had a pretty sizable pump. I never like when we have these kind of pumps. RSI just goes off the charts here, as we've seen it before. And I just don't like them. But this is on the 4-hour chart. So if we look at the RSI peaked pretty close to 70 here. It was also pretty close back here on a Thursday, October 13th. Bitcoin price ended at that point at 19,117. We ended today at 19,572. So that's 200 some dollars worth of difference, right? So we have price depreciation, price going down, while the RSI is at the same points. That's never a good sign for me. That's looking bearish right now. I don't know how low we're going to go with Bitcoin. But for the time being, short term, it is still pretty bearish to me. And we'll just have to see how it plays out. Looking at the 1-hour chart, same thing. We're seeing way oversold. The only good thing that we're seeing here, at least, is RSI is coming down while the price has been going up on the short term. So maybe we'll get a little reversal here. But it's still not something I wanted to see. If we go back far enough back, RSI is way higher here, while the price at those points was even higher here. So we're still lower in price even though RSI is higher. So that leads me to think we're still bearish. So there's too many things that are indicating bearish right now, but we'll have to see how things play out. I think we're going to be obviously testing again. I think we're going to be falling below this 19,500 line that we have here, which has been pretty much our support resistance for a while now. And if that doesn't hold, then I think we're going back down to where we were here, 19,000, possibly 18 and a half. We obviously came down pretty close to it in the last, Friday? We came pretty close to that. 18,658 was the low. So it's still not looking great for Bitcoin. Ethereum is doing the same thing, obviously rocketing up here in RSI. Price went up to 1,366 right now. And if we look at the 4-hour chart, let's take a look at that one. Yeah, I mean, you can see RSI is even higher than it was at these points here, where price was even higher at that point. So it's still looking bearish to me. Right now we're having just a little bit of a relief rally possibly, just a short one, and then we're going to fall back down even more. So that's obviously concerning for the miners and obviously for investors as well. But we'll see. So far we haven't, broken down below our previous low here that we reached back in, when was that? June 18th. We were at a low of 17,167, so that will be kind of our line in the sand here, I think, as far as possibly where we may bottom out. But we are, obviously, as you can see here on the chart, we've been pretty much bouncing off of this 19,500, either above or below it, but most of the time has been below it, which leads me to think also that we're going to be going below it. So that is that for that one. Okay, next is network hash rate. Let's take a look at that really quick. Network hash rate has kind of evened out a little bit at 263 million terahashes per second. We're obviously way up here, and we're obviously going to get more miners getting installed coming up here in a couple of weeks towards the end of the year. So I still expect us to get to close to 300 million terahashes by the end of the year on the average for the 7-day. You can also see here the Bitcoin price has been falling down while the RSI, or not the RSI, the network hash rate has been going up. That usually doesn't last very long, and eventually, don't know when, whether it's going to be within the next 6-9 months, but we are going to see that price possibly go back up to where it is above the hash rate as far as when you look at it that way. Okay, so now let's take a look at the mining revenue for the miners. We'll do this really quick here. So there's been obviously a lot of stories about Core Scientific possibly being in trouble because Celsius is in Chapter 11 bankruptcy proceedings. They're not paying part of their costs that they're supposed to pay, I guess, to Core. I covered that in, what was that, Friday's video, I think, Friday or Thursday's video. But that's obviously happening there. There's obviously other miners that are diluting shares by getting shares into the markets to fund, basically, to fund their operation, to fund growth and things like that. There's all these types of different stories that we're hearing, and it's obviously causing concern. There's also obviously concern here with the network hash rate. Network hash rate is at 263 million right now, at 9 cents per kilowatt hour. The 100 terahash miners are right now not profitable. Even though 105 terahash miners, if there were any, they would be basically losing a penny per day just to keep them running. So this is after electricity costs have been calculated into this at 3,250 watts per miner. So that is obviously concerning there. We know that some of the miners are getting squeezed by electrical pricing that has been going up, and at the peaks, it might be around 9-10 cents. I mean, if they get at 10 cents, it's no wonder that they are actually curtailing, because then they'd be losing $1.13. So we're obviously seeing a lot of miners also curtail at this period of time with everything that's going on with the higher electrical prices, the hash rate going up, Bitcoin being down where it is. It's obviously causing a lot of pain in the markets. Now, the miners that, even if they get up to 0.07, are going to be, did that wrong. There we go. 0.07 cents per kilowatt hour. Now they're at least profitable by $1.21 per miner. The miners that are at $1 or 5 cents, fixed pricing, if they have that set up, they're doing pretty good. They're at $2.77 per miner. So that is obviously still pretty good. And the miners that are at 140 terahash, those are at $5.44. Now, obviously, that's a big difference to where it is now. And if, say, Bitcoin goes back up to at least 35,000, I mean, now you're looking at making $12.87 per 140 terahash miner versus the $8.08, right? So that's how big of an impact it has on the miners, not only by BTC price, but also by the cost of electricity. Just a simple couple cents in the kilowatt hours is basically you're profitable or you're not profitable, and it's huge. So nope, I'm not surprised that the miners are curtailing as much as they are right now. Obviously, we've seen it from Argo, we've seen it from others as well. We've seen it from Riot, we've seen it from some others, Bitfarms. We've seen it from pretty much all the miners across the board. If they have control over it, they're going to curtail as best they can, especially at high peak times, which are usually like in the afternoon, things like that, when there's a lot of demand for electricity, and at those times, right? People are coming back home, they're doing their dishes, they're doing their laundry, they're doing other things, they're watching TV, they got everything going on at that time. So I think we're going to continue to see that happening. Now, if Bitcoin even falls to, let's see here, 18,000, let's do this, 18,000, they're still profitable at 5 cents. Let's go down to 15,000 really quick. They're still profitable. Bitcoin, I think, would have to go down like 10,000 for them to be, 10,000, 12,000, I think, is when, 12,000 is basically the last point at which point the miners with 5 cents per kilowatt hour would be still profitable. If you get to 11,500, they're still barely profitable at 4 cents. And then if you get to 11,000, they probably will not be profitable. Oh, that's 1,000. 11,000, they're losing money at that point, 14 cents per day. So with all that being said, there's obviously a lot of FUD going on in the market regarding the electricity pricing, things that are going on with Core and Celsius, everything else, and the cost of electricity. So there is concern. So the only way to do this is to see how the miners are doing as far as curtailment is concerned, whether they're curtailing at the peaks. If they are, that's fine. Obviously, they're not going to be making as much as they would be. And we obviously need Bitcoin price to go up. So, I mean, it is what it is. Unfortunately, we've been through this before. We've been through it in 2017 when we were at the hype. Then we had 2018 where we were in the bear market again. We've seen it with Hive, Hut 8. Go through those periods where, stocks went down to 8 cents for, at least for Hive it did, for a little bit of time. And then it bounced back up as Bitcoin started going back up. So we have seen these types of trends before. We may be going down even further depending on where Bitcoin goes. So be prepared for that. Always have a little bit of money on the sidelines. That's not financial advice, but have money on the sidelines. So you can always dollar cost average in a little bit as things come down, especially when we're in this kind of bear market. So that is all I wanted to talk about there. Hope if you guys have any questions on it, comment down below. I'll talk to you guys about it down there. I think I've pretty much explained it pretty well here. But yeah, it is concerning. We'll keep an eye on it, see how it goes, and then we'll see. Obviously, it'd be nice if it was more transparent as far as what the companies are paying per kilowatt hour. Obviously, they don't want to provide that information because then everybody else that is mining would be going to those facilities, or not the facilities, but going to the jurisdictions where they're getting that cheap electricity and trying to do the same thing. So it is a little bit of an advantage for them to keep it under the belt. Okay, so there's that. And let's take a look at what we're going to look at next. Okay, miner comparison. So we're going to compare DigiHost, DMG, SOLUNA really quick here. We've done it for the other miners already, for the large and the small, or the medium miners. Now we're going to do it for the small miners. And we'll just go through this relatively quickly when we have 3 of them. And I'll try to provide you guys my thoughts on it. The only caveat to this is SOLUNA still has not provided their September numbers. So we're going off the August numbers. So it's not exactly apples to apples. And SOLUNA usually provides their numbers by this time. So I'm surprised they haven't done that yet. But they do provide a lot of detail, which is great and all. But I wish they would provide the information just a little bit sooner instead of 3 weeks out, almost a couple of days before the end of the month, which is just crazy. They should be able to provide that relatively quickly. It would be obviously beneficial to shareholders and investors to take a peek at what's going on there a little bit faster for each month. That's just my little rant there. Okay, so DigiHost, 29 million shares out. DMG has 165 million shares out. SOLUNA has 26 million shares out. So they obviously can have a little bit more room to dilute along with DigiHost. Stock price is at 53 cents for DigiHost. DMG is 17 cents and $1.80 for SOLUNA. Obviously, DMG has been beaten down pretty much here. Along with DigiHost, well, all the miners have been beaten down. SOLUNA is $1.80, so it's not too bad. It's got a 47 million market cap compared to DMG, which is 28, and DigiHost is only 15 million based on that. And when I'm looking at these numbers here, I'm using a P of 10 for both DigiHost, DMG, and 15 for SOLUNA. And the reason for that is if we look at DigiHost as far as their current hash rate and future hash rate, they are at 597 petahash right now. For DigiHost, they're going to be at 1.1, I'm guessing somewhere around there, exahash by the time everything is said and done, at least what they have reported so far as getting. Now, things may change going forward in the future if they actually provide us with information that they're going to be buying other miners to grow their hash rate. But right now, this is where we're at. So they're 52% operational, hash rate growth, 91% left. And for that reason, they don't have a lot of growth left in them. I'm kind of discounting them a little bit, going down to 10 PE. This is if Bitcoin starts going back up in value. Right now, they're basically, what are we at here? 54 cents. They are trading at something like 1 PE. Yeah, 1 PE right now. And that's going to be the same thing pretty much for all the miners. That we got here, DigiHost, DMG, and SOLUNA. DMG, you can see here they're at 767 petahash right now, going to be at 1 exahash and change. They are 73% operational right now. Hash rate growth for them is about 35% left. So for that reason, I have them at a PE of 10 also, unless they provide some kind of news that they're going to be growing. They do have some HODL along with DigiHost. DigiHost has 160. DMG has 344, which is good. And then if we look at SOLUNA really quick, they are currently at 613 petahash, but they are going to be growing to 2.3 exahash. So that does give them a little bit more growth here coming up. That's about 281% growth left in them. And they are currently trading at $1.80. So that's a rough estimate of about 3.5 PE right now. So they are trading a little bit better than the other miners that we're tracking here. Okay, so that's the explanation there. Let's take a look at it here. All right, so we're using the current quarter, which is estimated, along with the last 3 quarters, which are actual numbers. So for DigiHost, we're looking at about 28 million in revenue, DMG at about 30 million in revenue, and SOLUNA at 27 million roughly. But we're obviously waiting for them to provide the numbers for September, which obviously will increase this as well to closer to possibly, let's just take a look at what they have last month. Last month they earned approximately 2 million. So let's say they get another 2 million added on to that. Now we're looking at about 29 million or so in change, roughly. So if we're using the 50% net income from gross revenue, PE of 20, obviously it's not PE of 20, we're using PE of 10 for DigiHost and DMG, Soluna at 15. We're looking at a stock price of $4.91 for DigiHost, 92 cents for DMG, and Soluna at $7.69. If we're using 75% net income from gross revenue, we're looking at $77.37 for DigiHost, DMG at $1.38, Soluna at $11.53. And then this is how much they're basically undervalued at each valuation here. You can see this on the chart, and then we're just going to look at how far they're off from their 50%, or what increase it would be for the 50% net income would be 827 to get to the number. For DigiHost, DMG would be 442, Soluna would be 327%, and then if you're looking at 75% net income, that would be 1,290% for DigiHost, 713, and 541 for Soluna. Here's the current hash rates that we already went over that number. BTC HODL, we also went over that. And then obviously we have the quarterly reports here for them. This is obviously from Q2. We're still waiting on Q3. Hopefully we'll get those in November sometime. But the interesting points here are debt to equity ratio. DMG is the lowest here, which is good, followed by DigiHost. And then as far as the current ratio, they're both pretty good. The only one that's concerning, obviously, Soluna. Soluna is below 1, but you want it to be at least 1 time current ratio. And they're below that, so that's obviously concerning here. We can also see it in the current assets minus total liabilities. Soluna is the only one that's 23 million, almost 24 million negative on that, so that is obviously concerning. Do they have enough cash and capital, and are they generating enough revenue to pay for their current liabilities along with total liabilities that they do have going forward? So that is one that I would be kind of weary on. They can obviously dilute shares more, pull money out that way from the market, but it's obviously not going to be helpful to the investors. Looking at DigiHost and DMG, my biggest concern with them is their lack of future growth, at least right now. It's pretty small. So we're looking, it's a mixed bag on these guys. Obviously Soluna is concerning because of their debt, but the other guys aren't growing as much as Soluna is. So if Soluna can get their debt under control, they might be a better buy here because they are going to be growing more, at least what they have reported. That could kind of obviously change, like I said, with DMG DigiHost if they provide that they're growing more than what they have currently stated. So that covers all that information. Let's take a look at just really quickly monthly production here of Bitcoin. And we can see here DigiHost started at 62 for the year, BTC per month to 50 to 75, 109. They had a really good month in April. Then they fell down in May 70, June 72, fell a little bit more in July 64. August was up a little bit 67, and then 69 in September. So they've been kind of getting back on track. They've had some issues with one of their facilities. They're trying to get that resolved, and that's obviously hurt them quite a bit here. DMG started out 64 in January, 63 in February, March was 74, 88 in April, and then they dropped pretty big too at 40 down to 48 in May, and they were at 76 in June, 54 in July, 69, 77 in September. So they've been kind of bouncing here up and down, and I think it's partially because curtailment also possibly, and I wonder if they were, see, I can't remember now, I'm going off my memory here, and I thought they had an issue with one of their facilities as well. That could be part of the reason there. Then you can see Soluna here was at 60 in January, 63 in February, March was at 65, 72 in April, May was 81, June was 78, July was 88, and August was 86. So they have been growing a little bit more steadily than the other guys. They are up 44% year to date, but this is obviously for August. We'll have to see what September comes in like. And month over month, let me see here. DMG was year to date 18% growth so far, and DigiHost 11%. So based on this information, I see Soluna is a little bit better on these. They're obviously mining a little bit more too. With, what do they have as far as hash rate here? Current hash rate. I mean, Soluna's hash rate is a little bit better than DigiHost, but not by much. And they were able to mine a little bit more. So on a production standpoint, Soluna is doing a little bit better job than DigiHost and DMG, even though DMG has more hash rate. Okay, now monthly hash rate. So here's the increases. So DigiHost started at 415 petahash. They did get to April like 1 exahash almost, and then they had a problem with their site. That dropped them down to 597. They've been kind of stuck there for the past 5 months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. Yep. DMG started at 500, and they've been slowly growing that up to 767 in August, and they had a little drop here in September. Whereas Soluna started at 364 petahash, and they've been growing steadily here for the last couple of months through April, through actually May, and then they've basically flatlined here for the past couple of months. We're obviously waiting on September numbers for them. But year-to-date growth, we're looking at 182 petahash for DigiHost, 151 for DMG, and 241 so far for Soluna. So based on the numbers that we do have for these guys, it's not easy picking any of these. I think Soluna might be in trouble, obviously, because of the debt that they have. The other guys aren't growing as much as they should be, I think, and that's kind of where the boat we're in. It's kind of, with these miners, they might go down even more. By the time everything is said and done, I think other miners are going to go down as well. But with them being at least under $1, they're also going to have problems continuing to be listed on NASDAQ. I think DigiHost is one of them. DMG, I'm not sure if, I don't think DMG is listed on NASDAQ. But DigiHost, I think, was listed on NASDAQ. So they're going to have possibly a hard time getting back above that unless Bitcoin starts going back up. So there's some concern there of delisting. Obviously, if that happens, that's going to drop the price down even more. So there's obviously a lot of things going on with it. And we'll have to see what the numbers look like for them in Q3, which they're going to report next month. Once those come out, we'll get a little bit of clearer picture, I think, as far as their financial health is concerned and everything else that we'll be able to glean from those reports. All right. So I can't really recommend any of these right now, other than a wild bet on them just to see if Bitcoin starts going back up. Then you can obviously, do it that way. But be prepared to lose everything that you put into it too. Kind of like with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins too, right? You got to be careful with those because they can still fall down, and be prepared to invest what you're willing to lose. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. All right. So there's my spiel on those guys. Let's take a look at really quick the performance of the Bitcoin miners against Bitcoin this past week. And I was surprised to see the number of green that we had here for the week. So Bitcoin was actually down just a hair this week. It was down 0.07% on the week. It was down $13.19 compared to the prior week, which wasn't too bad. So we're kind of flat for the most part. But I was surprised by the number of miners that actually did better than Bitcoin did. It was almost like 50. How many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 50-50. So 50% did better than Bitcoin, 50% did worse. And here's what we got. So Bitfarms was up 11% on the week. Not 11%, 0.11% on the week. Soluna was up 0.56%. Riot was up 1.22%. BitDigital was up 1.94%. CleanSpark was up 3.18%. Hut8 was 5.43% on the week. Sphere 3D was up 11.28%. And Marathon was up 13.59% on the week, surprisingly. Sphere 3D, I think the reason they did pretty good was because of their report that they finally finalized their negotiations with BitFuFu for all of the miners to get them to 6 exahash. But I believe that's going to be brought down. Didn't I write that in there? Let me see here. Sphere 3D, I think yep. So they're only getting to 2.1 exahash is where they're supposed to get to. The rest of the 3.9 is they're basically canceled it for the most part. They can obviously try getting those on the open market or going through the other through like 8miner, Bitmain, and trying to see if they can get those that way. But yeah, that obviously has reduced their future hash rate, but it also helped them out. They have basically no debt on those. That 2.1 exahash is basically all paid for right now. So that's a good thing there. Okay, going back to the weekly miners, and then these guys did worse. Hive was down 2.5, Greenwich was down 3.67, DMG was down 4.52, Iris was down 11.18%, Argo was down 11%, Core was down 12%, and DigiHost was down 25%. So it was actually a pretty mixed bag, surprisingly, on the miners. Okay, let's just look at it on the chart here really quick. Here we'll look at the 4-week. Oh, one other thing, we can kind of see interesting pattern develop here. So on Marathon and HUT8, we're seeing that 4 weeks ago they were up, 8 weeks ago they were up. They were both, Soluna was actually up the last, from 4 weeks ago only. So we're starting to see a little bit more green, which is interesting to see as well. Okay, let's take a look at it on the 4-week chart really quick here. So Marathon is up 9.24 from 4 weeks. HUD is up 8.9. Soluna is up 5.26. DMG is down 0.59%. Bitfarms. Bitcoin is down 1.33%. And so these guys below Bitcoin did worse. And that includes, obviously, Sphere 3D was down 1%, almost 2%. Mawson was down 4.65. CleanSpark was down 8.18. Bitfarms 9.52. BitDigital 12.5%. Riot was down 16.83%. Hive was down 17.02. Core was down 25%. DigiHost was down 25.87. Iris Energy was down 26.88. Greenwich was down 47.5. And Argo was down 62.11. Sorry, I gotta take a sip of water. My throat's starting to get dry. I'm talking too long. Okay. And let's take a quick peek at the 8 weeks. We can see here Marathon, HUT have done better than Bitcoin. Bitcoin's down 3.99%. Then Riot was down 12%. DigiHost down 20%. DMG 21. Bitfarms 22. BitDigital 25. Iris down 25, almost 26. Sphere 3D is down 27. CleanSpark 28. Soluna 30. Hive 34. Mawson down 42, Greenwich 52, Core Scientific down 54, and Argo down 67%. Argo has been beaten down the most here, looks like. And then finally on the 12 weeks chart, let's take a look at it here really quick. We can see that Marathon is only down 17.43%, Bitcoin's down 17.68, so Marathon has done better than Bitcoin a little bit. HUT8 is down 18.49%, Riot is down 29.5%, BitDigital down 32%, Iris down 36%, CleanSpark down 37%, Hive is down 37, Sphere is down 39, DMG is down 40, Bitfarms is down 41, Mawson is down 51, DigiHost is down 57, Soluna is down 61, Core Scientific is 66%, looks like Argo is down 68% or so, doesn't even fit on the chart here. Greenwich is down 69%, it looks like. So it's been a rough 12 weeks for the miners for the most part. We did have a nice little rally there in the summer, but that was short-lived. And we've obviously come back down to reality on this. So, conclusion. We'll have to see how the miners do. Right now, we are at a very, very important point. Like I said, Bitcoin price has been coming down. Electricity has been going up. Hash rate has been going up. You got basically those three little things that pull on the profitability of the miners. Electricity, hash rate, and the price of Bitcoin. We have basically everything going up, which is not good, which is going, or coming, Bitcoin price is coming down, electricity is going up, hash rate is going up. So we got two of the three things going up while one thing is going down, leading us obviously to have miners that are curtailing. And we'll have to see how this plays out. It's too early to tell. I mean, we could have it where Bitcoin changes price within this next week to next month, and everything's okay. It could be also that Bitcoin goes down in price. We'll have to keep an eye on it, but it would be nice to know how much the miners are paying for electricity. That way we could better see when are they profitable, when are they not profitable, or whatnot. Until then, we'll have to kind of go through these kind of numbers that we do have for them, and we'll see where that ends up. So I'm hoping this week is going to be better for Bitcoin. Right now, it's not looking like it. We only have, another basically 8 days until November comes around. Time's flying by. Okay, that is all I got for you guys. Spreadsheets available to Patreon members as always, like I keep saying. Thank you to everyone there for their continued support. We'll see what other information we can glean from this week, from the news and anything else like that. Hopefully Soluna will provide their numbers. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Love you all for watching. Bye.